You know, this weather today is a pretty good representation of the stock market's been lately for all of us investors. It's pretty dark, pretty miserable, and very gloomy. Hey guys, welcome to episode 26 of my investment journey series, the series we do right here on my YouTube channel where I go through all my Trading 212 investments for the past week, check out my portfolio, see what's been happening, see if it's been good, see if it's been bad, let you guys know, be totally transparent with everybody watching as always, and just kind of talk through what my next thoughts are, what I'm planning to do with my current investments, and just share what I'm learning as I learn it. So I'm actually really struggling today with the lighting. It's just totally dark outside and it's only 3 o'clock, and yeah, it may as well be like 8-9 o'clock just now. Storm Alex has hit the UK, Scotland right now, badly affected. It's been raining all day, it's meant to rain all night, so there'll probably be some flooding in certain areas, but I'm now sitting beside this big ass light I've got here just so I can get some sort of light on my face, so that's why I'm sitting on the floor again like this. Again, I don't have any of the fancy sort of setup that a lot of you YouTubers out there might have, your fancy ring lights and all these sort of their lighting kits and stuff. I'm purely on my phone, got a phone tripod that I'm holding, a phone mic that's connected in, and that's it. So it's just me, this big ass light, and two cats actually. Other cat Oscar here today. Oscar, good boy, say hello. Good boy. So I don't think you guys have seen him before. It's usually Hugo that you're used to seeing, and he is actually here today. Hugo, look. Good boy. Good boy. There you go, they're both saying hello. So yeah, you've seen both the cats now, so it's just me, two cats, big ass light, phone, going through my Trading 212 investments as always. Do this weekly. If you've not seen my face before, please consider subscribing. Not because of my face, but because of what I am about to go through, especially if you're new to the world of investing, if you're a beginner, if you're into Trading 212, all that sort of stuff. Consider subscribing, give this video a like. Really trying to hit, we'll go for 40 likes this week, maybe a bit ambitious, but if we can hit 40 likes in this video, that'd be amazing. Anyway, onto the iPhone, onto the Trading 212 app. Let's get into it. So here we are guys on my iPhone screen. I'm now opening up the Trading 212 app here on my iPhone, and we will head over to the portfolio page as always. So ISA utilization is still 34%. Looking at the portfolio here, if we look at last week, so looking at last Sunday or last weekend basically, we can see the return was showing negative £29.72, so we were down 0.36% on the portfolio, and now we are sitting at an amount of £22.59 in the positive, in the green, and we are now 0.27% positive overall on portfolio. So we went from 0.36 to 0.27%, negative positive, not by a great deal obviously, but it's still a bit of a upward swing in the right direction, which is good news, but obviously it's not as significant as I would like it to be. Coming down to the investments this week, and we'll just have a quick glance as usual. So green, green, red, green, 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 red, 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 green, red, green, red, green, green, and green. So we're actually seeing quite a bit of green just now, which is good news, but I think that will all change come next week when the markets open again, especially after all the news of Donald Trump now being tested positive, and I think that's definitely going to have a knock-on effect on a lot of the markets, especially the US markets obviously. I think the S&P 500 is probably going to come crashing down, and yeah, that's just something we're going to have to wait and see. But we're seeing a mix of green this week, which has been pretty positive for me, and I was not expecting it. I'll take you over to the orders this week just so we can cover what's actually happened. I know I did receive a few free shares earlier this week. Again, really grateful for that, so big thanks to you guys signing up through my referral links for Trading 212, really do appreciate it. So we'll head to the orders page here, and if we go back to the 28th of September, so I did actually buy another unit in the Vanguard FTSE Emerging Markets ETF, and that was £45.06 it cost me, as you can see there at the bottom. I also increased the FTSE 100, I got another 6.5 units in there for £37.78. I bought 3 more in Royal Dutch Shell, kind of averaging my position down a little bit with Shell. Big news with them recently. This week they've announced all the job cuts. They're making the big push towards the renewable sector and focusing on their green energy side of things. So yeah, lots happening around Shell right just now. The Under Armour share you can see here, This was a free share received from someone going through my link, so again, thank you for that. And then looking here at the 30th of September, you can see McDonald's and Starbucks, so that's part of my busy pie that I created. I showed you guys that in the last video, and yeah, I'll get into that a little bit here. But I did add a little bit more to that pie, so that's what these amounts here you can see are. And then yesterday I received another free share in Royal Dutch Shell. So yeah, 2 free shares this week, one Under Armour, one in Shell. So again, big thanks to whoever signed up through my links. Really do appreciate that as always. There's not been any new dividends this past week. The last dividends are still my Legal and General Group and my Royal Dutch Shell, as you can see there, and I did talk about them in last week's video. Coming back to the investment side of things, American Airlines, looking at the weekly view, that's actually up 5.94% from last week. Cineworld Group, weekly view, that's fallen by 8.36% from last week. Hive Group is actually up by 1.41% last week. That really surprised me. Not a massive jump up, but I was not expecting that. I just thought they'd continue to drop, and yeah, it's good to see them actually climb a little bit there. The iShares Core FTSE 100 ETF, weekly view, it's actually up 1.17% from last week. Again, good to see a little bit of growth. Hopefully that continues. But like I said, with all the news around Donald Trump, don't know how that's going to impact us next week. It'll just be a case of waiting to see what happens as the markets open on Monday. Coming down to the iShares Core S&P 500 ETF, looking at the weekly view, it's 0.98% up from last week. So again, good news. Definitely don't think that's going to continue to climb into next week, again, around the news with Donald Trump. So that'll be extremely interesting one to watch. Looking at my NASDAQ 100 ETF with iShares, 1.34% up from last week. So yes, more green, very positive to see. Big fan of this ETF, as you would know if you've seen previous videos of mine. The iShares Physical Gold ETF, weekly view, it's up 0.49% from last week. So another one that's actually increased. So again, positive news. The iShares S&P 500 Healthcare Sector ETF, I kind of want to get rid of this one to be honest, but looking at the percentages increased by, maybe I should hold on for a little bit longer. Looking at last week, it's grown by 2.36% here. So yes, very positive news. Again, will this continue? Who knows? Lots of things are going to come out next week, I think, around the whole Donald Trump situation, like I keep mentioning. That'll be interesting to see how that affects the healthcare sector in America. So this will be an interesting one to watch for sure. Legal and General Group is next up. This is one of my favourite UK stocks. Last week it's actually up 9.77%. That is a massive amount of growth there. I'm really chuffed with that one. Like I say, this is one of my favourite stocks. I really like the dividend always pay out. And yeah, this is a long-term hold for me, so I'm glad to see this is starting to climb back up. McDonald's is next up here. This is a recent addition to the portfolio. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know this is part of the busy pie that I created. And what I mean by the busy pie is it is basically places I see on a daily basis or near enough a daily basis that always seem to be busy, out the door with customers. Thought it'd make sense to actually include them in a pie, and McDonald's is one of those things. Looking at from last week, it's actually up 2.04%. So another one that has climbed a little bit, so that is extremely positive to see. Coming down to MGM Resorts, looking at the weekly view, 2.04% down from last week. I guess they're still struggling, the fact they can't really open things properly right just now, and the lack of footfall, purely down to what's going on in the world, the whole pandemic. But again, long-term hold with this. I've only got my 5 shares, so I'm not really that fussed with this investment. Royal Dutch Shell is next up here, and weekly view, it's down 6.4% from last week. Doesn't really surprise me after they announced all the job cuts. I think they're cutting 8,000 to 9,000 jobs, and they're expecting to have all those job cuts done by 2022, and this is all part of their drive towards the renewable sector. They're really trying to transform the whole business. They've obviously been known, and they still are known, as a massive oil and gas giant, and they're really trying to make that transformation to green energy into the renewable sector, because let's face it, that's just the way the world's going. So as part of that, they announced all these job cuts recently, just last week, and I did hear from some people that can sometimes make the share price increase, and it can actually put things in an upwards direction, but maybe that's just going to take a bit more time for that to happen. The reason people think that can actually make it increase is because it proves to all the shareholders, people out there looking to invest, that the business is willing to make sacrifices to actually go in the right direction. So this will be an interesting one to watch again over the next coming weeks. I am continuing to average down my position in Royal Dutch Shell. I do have quite a big holding, as you can see there, and looking at my 87 shares I've got at the moment, they're currently worth £788.03, so it's now showing that negative return of £292.85 in the red, so it's definitely not good at the moment. But I've said this to a lot of people, I'm extremely confident in Shell long term. I think if they really get on track with the whole renewable side of the business that they're aiming and pushing towards, I can see these guys shooting right back up there. And of course, obviously when this pandemic starts to come out the other side, and once it's over, oil will naturally come back up in price. It's not like we're completely away from the world of oil and the uses of oil yet, so still a lot of life in Shell in my opinion. I know people out there that hold BP think similar things possibly, but that's just my thoughts. So happy to hold, happy to continue averaging down the position, and this will be a good one in the future, I personally think. Next up here, Starbucks. This is another one that's part of my busy pie that I created. Looking at the weekly view, it's up 2.72% from last week. Again, chuffed with that, we're seeing more green, seeing things going up, so that can only be positive news right just now. Under Armour's next up, 3 shares. These are all free shares that I've received. Like I said at the start of this video, I received one of these earlier this week, so again, big thanks to you guys for signing up through my links and giving me that free share. Hopefully you got something decent as well. Looking at the view from last week, we can see this is actually increased by 8.25%. Super chuffed with that again, more green. The last week's video there was a lot of red, so it's good to see some green again. And my 3 shares are currently showing that £27.95 value, so that return is now sitting at £3.10. And finally here, my Vanguard FTSE Emerging Markets ETF. Big fan of this one, I've always raved about this one in my videos. I like the diversification it offers. Looking from last week, it's 1.92% up, so my 22 units in this ETF are now worth £1,002.32, so that's showing that 9.76% increase overall with this investment on my portfolio. And then if we just look at the allocation view overall, we can see I've now got 16 investments. Total portfolio value is worth £8,318.77, and you can see the holdings there. And then coming back to the pies here, looking at my busy pie, which is the ones I've mentioned with McDonald's and Starbucks. Looking at the holdings, you can see McDonald's currently taking up 64.46% and Starbucks is taking up 35.54%. So it's a slight bit of rebalancing being done there, but that's easy enough to do, and I'll probably look into doing that next week. And I don't know if you guys out there are using pies yet on Trading 212, you can let me know in the comment section below. This is a recent one that I've only just created, and like I said, I purely did it because I just thought these are places I see that are constantly busy whenever I'm passing them. Doesn't matter where I am in the country, they always seem to be busy. So I just thought, let's create a busy pie. It's a little bit of kind of fun on the side. My main investments are always going to be in ETFs. I always mention that, but I thought I'd create this little busy pie, like I say. And so far, it's positive at least. It's shown that £3.07 return, 1.94% up with this one. And I've got invested, you can see there, £158.50. And that's now worth £161.57, hence the return positive £3.07. And I have obviously set this to auto reinvest, so any dividends I receive, they will be getting reinvested automatically back into this pie. As always, if you're interested in signing up to Trading 212, please consider doing so through my referral link. You can see that here on the screen. I will pin this in the comment section below this video at the top, so it's easy for you guys to find. I will also put in the description of this video so you can find it there if you need to. Simply click on the link, create yourself an account with Trading 212, deposit a minimum of £1 and you will receive a free share worth up to £100, and so will I. If you do end up doing this, please let me know in the comment section what free share you receive. I'd be extremely interested to hear. It seems a lot of people are just getting Under Armour shares or National Grid shares these days. I have been lucky to get a few shares in Shell. Some people might not think that's lucky, but I do. I do also know some people out there that have had other really decent shares. So yeah, just let me know in the comment section what free share you receive, and we can kind of get a discussion going about who has the best free shares. So thanks again for watching this video, guys. Hopefully I'll see you in next week's video. Like I say, I do these portfolio reviews once a week. If you've enjoyed this, please click the like button, please consider subscribing to the channel and leave me some comments below, and we will see you in the next video.